You saw it in what he has been able to say since Sunday. He's going to be on camera later today, obviously, to address the American people from the Oval Office because of this moment and how big this moment is. He wants to do that. He wants to make sure that Americans hear directly from him again after putting out the letter on Sunday.
And if you could distill just into a few kind of bite-sized pieces, what specific policies, actions does the president want to get done in these last few months?
So he certainly wants to build on what we've been able to do. You heard me say this has been certainly what he's been able to accomplish in the four years in this first term is more than we have seen in presidents who have done 8, many presidents who have done 8. And he is going to be known as a consequential president of his time. And so he's going to continue to build on those successes. Let's not forget, if it wasn't for the American Rescue Plan, we wouldn't be able to get out of the pandemic. We wouldn't be able to open up schools. We wouldn't be able to open up businesses wouldn't be able to open up again. There's the Inflation Reduction Act, which was also an incredibly important piece of legislation. If you think about climate change and dealing with that, if you think about being able to beat big pharma, you think about the infrastructure legislation, which was done in a bipartisan way. This president was able to get that done. CHIPS and Science Act, again, a bipartisan way. This president was able to reach across the aisle and get that done. You think about NATO, making that stronger and bigger. There are many ways. I'm just naming a few things that the president's been able to do. Look, both of them, the president and vice president, are proud to have delivered these historic results, and we're going to continue to figure out ways on how to build on this progress. So that's going to be his focus. We will have a lot more to share. I'm not going to name out policies at this time, but you certainly will hear from this president. He's going to run through the finish line.
No concerns about being a lame duck?
We don't see ourselves as a lame duck president at all. In this period of time. This is a president that has been incredibly successul, and he's going to do everything that he can to continue to fight for the American people. I would say stay tuned. Watch.
Thank you, Karine. I have 2 questions, one on the vice president and then one on the president's decision. First, it's clear that President Biden and Vice President Harris have met regularly, including their standing lunches from the outset of the administration. But I'm wondering now, since he made his decision, if there are any plans to increase the cadence of those interactions, or if he plans to include her in more of his policy-making processes. How will that relationship and that involvement change?
So what I can say is the president and the vice president speak regularly. They see each other regularly. You named some ways of how they've been able to do that, to stay in touch and see each other in person. Look, the president is committed to being president and leading this country forward in the way that he believes that Americans want to see this country moving forward. And the vice president's going to continue to be a critical partner. Nothing's going to change in that. But they're going to continue to engage, interact, and have important conversations as it relates to policies and moving forward. That's not going to stop. And I'll leave it there.
And on the timing of his decision, it's now been widely reported that when Senator Chuck Schumer went to visit with the president in Rehoboth a week ago Saturday, that President Biden said, "I need another week." What did he need another week for?
So here, I'll say this. They had a very good conversation, the president and Senator Schumer, and I'm not going to go into their private conversation. I'm not going to go into particulars, but it was a good conversation.
You said it was a very short time frame in which the president was
in making that decision, right? When he started thinking about it and making that decision, it started Saturday evening, and on Sunday afternoon, he made his decision.
But it sounds like he was presented with data a week prior.
I'm just not going to get into specifics. It started Saturday evening. The next afternoon, which was Sunday afternoon, he made that decision. A small group of advisors, including family, was with him on Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon he made the decision. That's how it happened. That's how he came to to announcing it.
And on the messaging to us, to the press corps, it's been 9 days since there's been a briefing. The president obviously published his letter officially on Sunday, withdrawing from the race. Why go on television to make your first comments about that decision rather than make...
No, I appreciate that. We've always had a protocol here. When the president's not here, we don't do a briefing. That's just the way that we've always, it's always happened. The interview that I did yesterday was on the books for about 2-3 weeks. It was way before the president made his decision. That's it. Yep. Okay.
Did the president exit the race because he didn't think he could defeat Donald Trump in November?
I'm not going to get into specific details of his thoughts. I would say tune in to tonight when he speaks directly to the American people. You'll hear what he thinks about this, his decision. He said in his letter that he wanted to address the American people about this decision that he made on Sunday. I would tune into that, and you'll hear directly from him.
And also similar to some of the questions my colleagues have asked for weeks, people from this podium and other top spokespeople for the president were adamant that there was no way he was dropping out. Just in terms of credibility moving forward, I'm curious if you guys could just address that.
I mean, I kind of addressed it a couple times of the president's decision making. When folks from my team, from folks from this White House said that he wasn't going to drop out or he was not planning to drop out, that's where we were. That's where we were in that time. That is the guidance that we had.
So
I mean, it's not...
About you guys not receiving the proper guidance?
Tyler, on Saturday night, he met with a small group of advisors and his family, and that's when the decision started. Sunday afternoon, he made the final decision. That's where we were. And we've talked about this. This was a dynamic situation. It was. This is a historic moment. You have to, that is true. And it was for the president to come to that decision. When we told you all that the president, you heard from the president, he's not going to drop out. And he actually addressed it himself, not just us. There were multiple events, multiple opportunities where the president said he's in it. So you heard directly from him multiple times after the debate. You know, the president, again, met with a small group of advisors on Saturday. Sunday, he made his final decision. That's how it worked. That's how it happened.
We'll get a better sense from him about what went into that decision-making.
I would tune in tonight. I would let the president speak for himself in this moment. Okay.
Given the level of support the vice president has received from lawmakers, other Democrats, donors, the party in general, has the president expressed any sentiment that maybe he should have made his decision sooner and given her a longer timeline?
What I will say is this was a difficult decision to make, a personal decision to make, and the president made it. And I will leave it as that.
Has he given any advice at this point to the vice president in her process of picking a running mate?
They speak regularly. They speak often. Obviously, they've spoken a couple of times. And I'm not going to get into their private discussions. Okay.
Is the Vice President or her staff going to be more closely involved in the day-to-day operations of the administration, given that she's now
I kind of got this question moments ago. Nothing more to add where the Vice President's been a critical partner. She's been played an important role to a lot of decisions that have been made in the past 3.5 years. That's not going to change. And the President has always obviously appreciated her policy savvy, her ideas, her thoughts, and that's going to continue. And
more of a say now?
Look, the President is still President. You know, he's still very much Commander-in-Chief. He's still very much the President of the United States, and he's still very much going to lead this country in the direction that he believes is right. Is the right way to do it. So that doesn't change. That's not going to change.
And just make sure I understood your answer earlier. They have spoken about the VP selection specifically, or
the VP selection, that is something obviously I can't speak to. The campaign side could speak to. What I can say is I heard the question as giving advice to the Vice President in any way, right? They've spoken many times. I'm just not going to get into private conversation. The VP pick specifically, anything related to that, obviously the campaign can speak to that. that more if you want more details.
But Vice President Harris won't have extra staff in meetings that wouldn't normally be there for some sort of overlap.
I would say that nothing is going to change. The president is the president of the United States. He's going to continue to lead this administration the way that he sees fit. They are partners. They are partners. They have been. She's been, again, a critical partner in some of the big piece items that we've been able to get done on behalf of this country. Obviously, she's going to play a role as she has done in the past.
Did you watch the Prime Minister's speech?
That just ended not too long after I came out here. I have not talked to the president about this, if he was able to catch some of the Prime Minister's speech. Obviously, they're going to, as you know, they're going to be meeting here at the White House. Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and the president is going to be meeting here tomorrow.
Thanks, Karine. This was a White House that was operating, obviously, with an eye towards the next 6 months, but also thinking it might have 4 more years to serve as well. I know it's early, but can you talk through whether there's been any sort of new direction about how this White House will operate, given that you only have this short amount of time left? And obviously, the president was also balancing a re-election campaign at the same time. Does this free him up? Are there considerations being given to what else he might be able to do that he might not have?
So, don't have any policy announcements to make at this time. The president is going to continue to do what he has set out to do for the next several months, even while he was indeed running for re-election, which is pretty consistent, building on the accomplishment that he's been able to get done. That's going to be really important. He's going to look at this remainder of his term, and there's going to be important issues that he wants to get done. Don't have anything right now to lay out, but we want to continue to build on those accomplishments. We've gotten a lot of things done, whether it's healthcare, whether it's the economy, whether it's manufacturing, right? We want to continue to build on that. And so the president is determined. He is determined to get that done.
One of the first major initiatives that the president asked the vice president to lead was to oversee the diplomatic work with Central American countries as it relates to flows of migration. The House Rules Committee yesterday approved a resolution that will go to a vote of the full House strongly condemning the Biden administration and its borders are the vice president for failure to secure the border. Do you have a response to that? And how would the president characterize what he views as the vice president's accomplishments in terms of overseeing that portfolio?
I mean, look, as we speak, you have congressional Republicans, they continue with their month-long blockade of critical resources that we need for the border. Whether it's ICE, Border Patrol, and this is what they've been doing. This is what they've been doing. Let's not forget the bipartisan, a really tough, important bipartisan piece of legislation or a deal that came out of the Senate that we were able to get done, and they got in their own way. They got in their own way because they listened to the former president, because they thought it would help Joe Biden. So they continue to block critical resources. That's what they have done for the past 3.5 years. The president is looking for ways to fund security funding to get to the border, right? And he's done that in a record way. And so we're going to continue to fight to make sure that the Border Patrol agents get what they need and get more personnel, thousands of new personnel at the border. That's what we're going to do. The president announced new decisive executive orders to secure the border on lawful crossings have dropped by more than 50%. And that's the president acting without Congress by 50%. They are now lowered at this point than they were in 2019 and lower than when the former president left office. And the president's doing that on his own. They get in the way, he finds other ways to make things happen. That's been the story of this administration.
One more question. Obviously, the Secret Service director resigned yesterday. I'm also curious if there is any consideration to increasing the security around the vice president now, and whether the resources of the Secret Service are affected by that decision.
Yeah, that's something for the Secret Service to speak to. That's something for the vice president's campaign to speak to. I don't have anything to add on that as it relates to protection.
How are you doing with all of this, Karine?
You care about how I feel?
Are you going to stick around for a potential President Harris administration?
Oh my goodness, let me just get through the day. Can I just get through today?
I do have some other questions.
No, I think that's good. I think we're good.
Karine.
How are you doing? Are you
I'm
good?
doing okay, thank you.
I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, You guys haven't had a press briefing since President Biden dropped out of the race, so
President hasn't been here, he just got here yesterday, and now I'm here taking your questions.
thank you.
And I've taken about 3 or 4 at this point from you alone.
Well, it would seem that people in this White House knew that President Biden was slipping, and it was hidden from the American people. So who ordered White House officials to cover up a declining president?
I know that that is a narrative that you love and wait,
10 days,
hold on.
he did a press conference
Hold
at
on.
NATO. I'm in it. There's all these things that I need to finish. And then 10 days later, I'm dropping out.
Okay, okay, you're asking me like multiple questions here. Let me, wait. First of all, there's been no cover-up. I want to be very clear about that. I know that's the narrative that you all want. Wait, no, you can't. Okay.
I've been with President Biden for 5 years.
Are you going to let me answer the question?
Would you at least admit that the debate